So today we're going to go over your parts of wall notes. Basically what we already went over. Talking about number one, a blank in the wall supports the weight above, and I guess I probably didn't fix that. Did I? Oh, it shouldn't be over, so you can scratch out the word over. I meant to fix it and I haven't yet. Above windows and doors. What is the framing member that supports weight above a window or a door? Header. Okay. Got to be familiar with that. So a header made out of 2x4 or any 2x material must be nailed with what kind of nails? 16D sinkers, yes. 3, a header placed in the wall with the blank part of the board vertically for strength. So how was it placed? Yep, the wide or width of the board is always vertical. So everybody knows what vertical and horizontal is, correct?
Vertical is this way, right?
Okay, because the header wouldn't be very strong like this, it would sag. So the strength is here in this width, so that's the way it has to go in. No matter what it is made out of, 2x6, 2x4, 2x12, it doesn't matter. Blank is added between the layers of 2x material to make the header the same thickness of the wall. Usually OSB, but it could be any kind of wood packing. It could be plywood, but it has to be the right thickness so this matches up the same width. All right. If you think about a 2x6 wall, they're wider. 2x6 is 5.5. So if you had 2 of these, you would have what? 3 inches, right? 2 2x material. So then when you add this 1/2 inch pack in there, that makes your 3.5. So what else would you have to add for a 2x6 wall to make it the right thickness? Because them are 5.5. So you have 3.5, so you got to make up 2 more inches. So it actually would be 3 of these and 2 of these. So you would throw another one on and then another 2x, and that would be the right thickness for the wall. So that changes with the thickness of the wall, but you use that packing in there so you can get it to the right dimension. This packing material should be how much smaller than the width and the height of the header? How much small do we keep that piece of OSB compared to your header? All the way around, right? So it'd be 1/4 and 1/4, which would make it a 1/2, right? And 1/4 and 1/4 would make it a 1/2, roughly. And like I said before, it doesn't have to be exact, but you do want it in all the way around. That way you know it's not sticking out to make something, you know, taller than what it's supposed to be. One thing I didn't really go over when you guys were doing that, what I always do when I'm building a header, when I got my pieces cut, and before I stick this, did any of you have any trouble? It was bouncing around, that OSB's trying to move on you and you're struggling with it a little bit. The bigger the header, the worse that's going to be. What I normally do is that OSB, I'll just take a roofing nail or even a drywall nail, and all it takes is a couple tacks, but I tack that to the first board with those, this so it's not moving. It's one less thing moving around on you. It makes it a little bit easier. You clamped it, yeah. So that works too. A lot of times you're not, I mean, normally you're working on the ground if you were on a job site, or you're on the floor of the, you know, the floor system building, so you're down, bending over. Clamps are pretty hard to use there, but out here, yes, with tables, that works okay. Number 6, a 2x4 header should be nailed on both sides, 2 nails every how far apart? No, that's for sheeting, 6 to 8 inches. But if you were nailing this, say this header was 6 foot long, every 16 inches. So 2 nails every 16 inches all the way down till you get to the end. Then of course you're nailing it on both sides, correct?
What was 5 again?
5 was a 1/2 inch smaller both ways, yeah, so that'd give you 1/4 all the way around. 7, A blank or a blank supports the header and transfers the weight bearing on the header to support the wall. So they're talking about this thing here. What is that called? Two names it could be called. It supports the header. There would be one on this side of the header also, and it transfers any weight here over to here and down it. Cripple is one name for it. What's another? Remember, a cripple's anything short of a full-length stud. What else could it be called? Remember, you had that handout sheet, and we are going to have a test on that too, them wall parts. Trimmer stud, okay? So make sure you guys are looking that over. It won't happen tomorrow, but we will have a quiz on that, or a test. So that's the two names that are acceptable there, yes?
Header and trimmer stud?
Trimmer stud and cripple. Trimmer stud or cripple is typically nailed to the full length stud using what kind of nails? What do you nail any 2x material together with? 16D sinkers, yes. 9. The trimmer stud should be nailed to the full length stud with a double set of nails how far apart? Every 16 inches. Something we didn't get to experience yet because these pieces were so small, but you will once we build something that has trimmer studs. These nails must be blank to prevent them from protruding on the back side. You got to be angled, right? Because they're longer than what this thickness is, which is 3 inches. They're someplace between 3 1/4, 3 1/2, roughly. These nails, I got that. 11. And blank corner is used in exterior walls to allow a spot for insulation. What type of corner? L corner. L corner should be nailed with 16 sinkers every 16 inches. I mean, it's all pretty much the same. A blank corner is used in interior walls. Interior. I've already passed the first one, which was exterior. That was an L corner, correct? And nailed every 16 inches is 12. So what kind of corner is used in interior walls? Triple. Well, and here's a triple.
A triple corner?
Triple corner. Why do you use these on interior walls, did we talk about, compared to an exterior wall? Anybody remember? Remember we talked about they're more solid. I mean, they don't flex around like an L corner may, for one thing. Another thing, most buildings and houses are drywalled, and you got to have good nailer on an outside corner for your corner bead, and that's why they're used on interior walls mainly, just for the extra nailer compared to an L. 14, they're nailed every 16 inches again, right? The purpose of both types of corners is so that walls have blank for the material covering the walls. So they have what? Why do you make a corner? Remember how a wall comes together. You have your plates, and you have some sort of corner here. With an L corner goes here. This wall would be built first because it's running through. Then your next wall butts up to that. You have nailer for your corner here on the outside corner. This would be, if it was an exterior wall, would be OSB. And then drywall in here. You got nailer. So the answer is nailer. So you have nailers for the material covering. Same way with a triple, works the same way, it gives you the nailers. Blank are used where two walls join together and are in the shape of a U. What's that part of the wall called? So you have a wall coming down through here, say, it's here, and you have another wall butting into it. what goes there. Does anybody remember what that's called? Oh, I'm sorry. Partition backer. And why they call this a partition backer, it goes right here, and then this wall would be built first, and then your other wall comes in, and that gives you it gives you nailers in the corner. Partition, P-A-R-T-I-T-I-O-N, backer, B-A-C-K-E-R. The reason why they call it a partition backer is this would be like exterior walls, and any wall that's an interior wall, it's called a partition wall. It partitions off different rooms, so that's why it's called a partition backer. So 17, blank members or parts to a wall have to be nailed flush with each other. All of them, yes. And as I went through, as you guys turned your projects in and I graded, I wanted you to see that and see the kind of things. I wasn't really picky, too bad I didn't think on them, but I wanted to point out the things that you got to look for and why you have to look for them. They have to be nailed as flush as you can get them. Otherwise, it changes the dimensions of your wall. When nailing all members or parts to a wall together, nails should be kept at least how far from the ends? And I talked to a lot of you about this. 1.5 inches it should be. So if you're nailing here, this should be 1.5 inches up. You don't want to get close to your ends. Now see, they stayed pretty close. I mean, that's a little less than 1.5 inches, but it started to split. And you're going to have that in here with our lumber, more so than what you're going to have other places. But if you're trying to nail right at the edges, they're probably going to split even with the other lumber. 19, a blank is used to grab a nail head that is flush with the framing or below the framing so that you can pull it. A cat's paw, yes. And I believe that's it on there. Nobody has any questions. Does anybody have any questions with the concrete test? Austin, you can go ahead and stop that for a minute.